here I'm just surrounded by a bunch of hungry, young, innovative guys, and we more than having a coach just standing there saying, do this, 100 push-ups, blah, 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 you've got to do this. I'm surrounded by a bunch of intelligent guys, and we just feed off each other. One will have, oh, I have an idea. I think we should start moving in this direction, and then we can have a discussion and feed off each other. And I'm not sure about that. Like, I think, so there's a lot of interaction. I think it's a lot better environment for me. It keeps me motivated. It keeps me hungry, being surrounded by all these hungry young guys.
Nice.
As opposed to just going into a gym, being told being told what to do. Like, I think I was very independent for so long, and figured out a lot of things on my own. Then it's hard for me to just get told this is the way to do it, and don't ask any questions.
Yeah.
Now, Saeed will come in and he'll say, "Hey, we're gonna do 3 rounds of this," and I'll say, "Okay, yep, but why?" And then he'll have to explain why we're doing it, and then I'll start picking it apart, and he can explain it, and so it's a real creative environment, and I guess that's the best. And we all just demand excellence. We demand perfection,
Yeah.
which is the thing. I demand perfection in myself, and perfection's what you have to be aspiring to really achieve anything in the sport. So it's the environment here. Just man, I look forward to getting up every day with this environment, which is exactly what you need. It keeps me hungry.
Yeah.
Being here keeps me on my toes. Uh, Nothing great was ever achieved in a comfort zone,
For sure.
if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
In New Zealand, if I'm sitting back on the couch, I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
And when I'm comfortable, I start getting nervous, because that's not when I perform my best.
Yeah.
I perform my best outside of my comfort zone, where I'm constantly being tested, questioned, and evolved.
Awesome. Nice. Still sticking with the training, so you recently spent time in the US at Elevation Flight Team and famously crashed on Neil Magny's couch for a bit, and you became good friends with Drew Dober as well. Just tell us a little bit about that period and some of the major things you were able to take away from it.
Yeah, it was something that was kind of one of the things I had on my bucket list. I've heard my entire career that the training in the US is the best. The training is like on another level. So I really had to go and see for myself. You know, so I went there. I kind of just dropped everything. I just took off there. Spent 4 months in in Denver at Team Elevation,
Yeah.
and it was a really great growth experience. The coaches there were amazing. The training partners were, world class. They have all the big name guys. I got to train with all, Donald Cerrone, Matt Brown, Neil Magny,
Yeah.
TJ Dillashaw, like world champions. And just going there and seeing for yourself is an experience like nothing else.
Awesome.
I've always told other fighters, or told myself, like, get out, see the world. Like, there's so many different styles in the world. If you stay in the one place, you're only gonna really experience the one style, and it's gonna hold you back. If you move and just work with different guys, and like I was saying, about being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Being uncomfortable with different styles is when I perform my best. If I'm in the same place for too long,
Yeah.
I kind of get stir crazy, or stagnant in a way. But every fighter is different. Some fighters might find their winning magic, and that they kind of stick with that. Neil's got his winning magic in Denver. He works with these great coaches, and that works for him, and that's got him constantly evolving. So that's really the perfect mix for Neil, and he's there, and he's got his routine, and he's kind of working through that. Whereas me, I need that constant change. It keeps me sharp, and it keeps me on edge.
Nice. nice. It's like there's a poem called "The Hangman." It's about a traveling hangman. It's kind of it kind of mirrors your life. You travel around and just collect knowledge instead of taking lives and things like that. Well, you almost take lives in the cage and stuff, but yeah, it's just a real cool thing that you do. Now, something obviously real big news. Mark Hunt has been incredibly vocal about Brock Lesnar, UFC, PEDs, etc. After UFC 200. It seems that he hasn't got a lot of support from the roster, even some noted critics in the past like Michael Bisping, etc. Do you have a stance on that? And would you like to see something which has been talked about recently, which would be a fighters' union?
Yeah, that's a
I
that's
suppose it is a
tough.
tough one for you to speak openly about, because you're an employee, so it's understandable. But if you have any sort of thoughts on it that you wanted to put out there.
Yeah, that is a tough one from my perspective. I guess I have a different perspective on it because I can't. uh, It's a different perspective. I have another 20 years with this company, and
That's right. Yep. Yep.
and I have a big future, and my future that I have set myself is with this company. And one thing I've always had is I've never had I've never let things like that distract me from my ultimate goal.
Nice.
Uh, I don't know if you've ever heard the Jose Aldo comment. He said, "Money is like a ghost." He says, when you start trying to catch it, uh,
Yep.
you get stuck. But if you just move forward, then it follows you.
Yep.
So that's the way I've treated the sport the whole time. I've seen so many fighters get distracted with promotions and sponsorships.
Sure.
They get disheartened. They're like, man, I've been trying to get sponsorships, uh, and they let it dishearten them, so they don't have fights, or they have an argument with, oh man, this promoter didn't pay me what he was gonna pay me. So I kind of just build myself as a great fighter and a developed fighter, and what comes with that is, if I get money, I get sponsorships. These are added bonuses to me.
Yep.
But living this lifestyle, competing in the cage, and trying to be the best fighter in the world, those take up 99.9% of my focus and my priority. My focus and my priority is being the best fighter in the world and living my lifestyle and enjoying my lifestyle. All these other things, I feel they shouldn't be factors to a young guy looking to be a fighter. I hear this so many times. People message me, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna sort my money situation out, and then I'm gonna become a professional fighter."
Yeah.
If money is a priority to you, then you're in the wrong game, mate. If people have asked me, they say, "Oh, what would you be doing if you weren't a fighter?" I say, "Oh, well, I was studying business school. I'd probably be doing a good job, earning some good money. If I spent the amount of time that I spend on this sport and the amount of focus and passion into this sport, I guarantee you I would be a millionaire by now. But I don't. I train. I spend all day in the gym. I spend all day thinking about this sport, watching fights. Like
Yeah.
this, this, this sport and this passion is my motivation. So I will never let money or these outside things focus on me, distract me.
Yeah.
Where I am now, I'm living my lifestyle, and I'm working towards my goal, and that is my ultimate focus. So to let these other things distract me or dishearten me,
Mm.
uh, is it would be foolish to follow these things or let them dishearten my passion for the sport.
Yeah, perfect. No, that's understandable. And it's an incredibly healthy mindset to have because like you say, everything other than fighting, if you're a fighter, is effectively a distraction. So, that's the best way to be about it, I think. Now, Who on the UFC roster, past or present, would you love to train with? If you had 6 months and someone was like, you can go anywhere, train with anyone, who would you choose? Any any camp or any fighter, or one
Yeah,
of
I'd like
each?
to. I'd love to. You hear so much about Greg Jackson or Faraz Sahabi. I'd love to put work in with them. Or Danaher,
Yeah,
see what his jiu-jitsu skills or his jiu-jitsu training. Being a New Zealander, that would be
yeah,
one of the elites to work with. And yeah, working with Danaher would be great. Greg Jackson would be, a mastermind. I'd love to just get in there and kind of pick his brain. For us, Sahabi, you hear so much about. He's a very knowledgeable guy. But yeah, just to spend some time at their camps and be able to pick their brains, I think would be uh, invaluable.
yeah. Awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. Now, what sort of things have you got coming up for you? Obviously, you're in Thailand at the moment. Have you got anything, sort of like camp spots that you might be doing in the future?
Yeah, well, I'm training here, and we're always working on things, and I'm always even anything fight related. I'm always focusing on. What we've been doing now is been putting. I was doing some breakdown videos and having them online, and I was really just enjoying that.
Yeah, that was real good.
Breaking down fights and kind of giving it from my perspective. What I've been doing lately is I've been putting together strength and condition. Well, my strength and conditioning program. I've been making a video series on my strength, what I do for strength and conditioning. Because I was thinking, and I get asked so many times from young fighters or coaches, like, what do you do? What do you do? Because I've been so many different places and worked with some of the best minds in the sport. I really do have a lot of knowledge on these topics, and I've figured them out through trial and error. I've done a million different things, and so I'm confident I know what works. So I've been putting together my strength and conditioning training. What I do for running, what I do for weights, like what I do, how many times a week, putting it to video, and we've really just been putting that together now, and we'll have that up in a couple of weeks.
Awesome.
So young fighters and young coaches can feed off that knowledge and really save themselves a lot of time.
Yeah, that's right. Because you guys and yourself, you've done so much of the hard work for people that they can really just save themselves a lot of heartache and a lot of time, and just feed off your knowledge in a similar way that you guys feed off other people's knowledge. I caught some of your breakdown videos that you did with Kai Kara fronts and stuff. They were entertaining, and like your guys' technical analysis was great. Speaking of him, coming up to the Ultimate Fighter. Um, what do you know about this coming season and things like that? Anything that you can, any light that you can shed on that process, or anything that you know from him, or that you know yourself from your contacts in the UFC.
Yeah, Kai is in the house
Yeah,
as we speak. I think he left damn near a month ago, so he'll be halfway through the season. So they'll be
awesome.
3 weeks into filming right now.
Yeah,
So as we know, as soon as you leave, they give their phone away, and we lose
yeah,
all contact with them. So I'm very nervous at the moment, but I've had a look through it, some of the other guys, and I don't see any of them giving him too much trouble. The skills that Kai has, and we've prepared him for this for the last how many years, and I'm confident he has the skill set to not only do well in the house, but take this show out. So as we're watching, I'm going to be watching very excited. Uh, by now, Kai would have probably run through his second guy by knockout. So fingers crossed, man.
awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. Obviously, we all wish him the best, and it's going to be great to see another Kiwi on the Ultimate Fighter, and one that he's been ripping it up recently, and you guys have obviously had a lot of input with that. Another Kiwi that you've been training with is the Stylebender Israel Adesanya. Obviously, you guys, watching you guys sparring together is just like watching guys who know each other so well. You know, every move, every look that you guys have has an intention and stuff, and you guys just look like you're having so much fun when you're throwing down together. Just you know, tell people a little bit about what it's like to have some of your close bros out there with you.
Yeah, that was cool, man. I haven't trained with Izzy since before Denver, so that was and he only stopped through Thailand for a week, and it was the one sparring session. So nah, that was really cool. That's kind of how we catch up. 5 months. So for him coming, oh, we got sparring today. You know, it was round one, and I just went over. You know, me and Izzy grabbed each other, and it's time to see if you got any better, man. He's trying to see if I've got any better, and we just kind of, yeah, that's how we have fun, man. That's how we say hello. So
Yeah.
that was awesome. I didn't realize it was caught on video until that came out a month later, which was pretty cool. And they made a little highlight video out of it. So, nah, that was awesome, man.
Nice, nice. Cool. So, you know, in terms of fights, have you got anything in the works? What's coming up for you? And you know, obviously, where would you want to be? What would you want your next fight to be, or the fight after that?
I guess I'm on the next show in November in Australia. That would be my best bet. We haven't heard anything yet, or they haven't announced that show so far. But I'm hedging my bets that I'm on that card in the November card in Australia, be it Sydney or Melbourne. I've heard it's one of those. So Sydney and Melbourne in November. Watch out, and I'll definitely be on that card. And man, I'm itching to get back out there, man. I'm just thinking about it every day. You know, uh, this amount of time between fights is just I'm too hungry to get back in there and compete and show my skills and show my improvements because I think since my last fight, man, they should have fought me a month after that. They should have fought me then because they're letting this time go past and I'm only getting better every day. So the next guy is he's in a lot of trouble, man.
Nice, nice, awesome. So, well, that's all the questions I sort of had for you. Is there anything that you wanted to chat about? Did you want to maybe talk about some of the fights from the weekend, if you caught those?
Yeah, oh man, there've been some great fights even since 200. Woodley was a bit of a shock. I
Was
didn't think it would happen quite so quickly, but he did some leading up to the fight. They were saying his lead right hand is his his number one weapon, his number one uh, danger, and I think Lawler just underestimated uh, that early athleticism and his distance. So distance in training and then distance in a fight is a bit different. So I tend to give myself more distance from the start of the fight because everyone has that explosive power when they start a fight. So in sparring, you might be at a safe range, but when someone's 100% and they've got that nervous energy, you know, they might be able to add an extra couple of inches to their punch. And a couple of inches in the fight game is the difference between, wow, an inch is the difference between a punch missing and a punch hitting you on the chin.
yeah,
So Lawler underestimating that well, not giving himself enough range to start the fight, and you know he paid the price. He paid the ultimate price.
yeah,
Um, I would have liked to see a few rounds and seen that fight go a bit deeper, but that was a shock, man.
yeah,
Rose Namajunas really impressed me. You know, she lost that fight, but I think she was doing some great things, and she's got a big future. That round one, her footwork in round one, if she would have just stayed composed and kept moving that, man, I was kind of losing my shit watching her jumping around the ring and watching her footwork, man. I was thinking I wanted to make a film starting on her footwork because that's the best footwork I'd seen all night.
yeah,
And I was losing my shit about it, man. She's circling out, she's feints, cutting angles. Man, that was really impressive for me. Another one, the main event before that, Shevchenko versus Home, because Shevchenko is from, she's trained out at Tiger Muay Thai,
yeah. Sure.
and I've seen her in the gym, and she's a beast. Like grappling wise, gives a lot of high level guys ass whooping. Standing up, she's just on a completely different level, man. You see her working with her coaches, and she puts together 17-time Muay Thai world champ. She's she's. It's good to see her performing the way she can perform. Beating Holly wasn't luck. That's something that I've seen. That wasn't luck at all. Like that. That's her like skill and her. She outclassed Holly on the feet, took her down, which a lot of people didn't expect, and she classed her on the ground. So her ability, she is a 5 round fighter. So when she does get to those championship fights, she's going to be very hard to beat. Amanda Nunes beat her in a close fight over 3 rounds. 2 more rounds, I don't think Amanda beats her. I think Holly, I think Shevchenko really picks Nunes apart round 4 and 5. So hopefully she gets that rematch in a 5 rounder, and I think she takes the belt. Which would be great. So yeah, man, there've been some amazing fights. We got some amazing fights coming up with McGregor, Nate.
Couple of new
Uh,
champions here and there, and yeah, it's pretty
oh,
crazy.
the belts of what is it? Eight new champions this year. So there's 8 champions yet to defend their title.
Yeah, and there's plenty of pay-per-views and title defenses still to come. So could easily double in the 6 months or 4 or 5 months we got remaining as well.
Yeah. Oh, it's exciting times, man. It
Awesome.
shows you how hard it is to hold a belt.
Yeah, well, it's like a second or third wind in the evolution of MMA. Like there was the first wind, which everyone got to see play out in the first sort of 20 UFC events, and then there was like a huge second wind, which sort of happened after that, where everyone caught up, and now it's happening again, where people are branching off, doing different training techniques and stuff, and different people are coming out of the woodwork. Like Holly Holm has only really looked comfortable in one or two of her fights so far in the UFC. And the one that she looked comfortable in was the one where she dismantled Ronda Rousey. But since that and before that, she looked a little here and there rather than looking like a world beater.
Yeah, that's to me. It's the way they have marketed the sport, and I think the way that they have marketed the sport, uh, people are going to open their eyes to it fairly shortly. Now they have this ranking system: top 10, top 15, top 5 contender, title challenger. I think they're going to have to change that because in reality, to me, it doesn't mean anything.
That's
To
right.
me, top 15 is not worth the paper it's written down on. Top 15, I think top 50 guys on any night could win the belt and beat the champion. I 100% believe that. I 100% guarantee that. Style wise, styles, guys with certain styles match up well or with other guys. Like they say, Connor's been given beneficial style matchups, which is true. The guy is a top. Oh well, he beat top 5. He beat Chad Mendes. Chad Mendes is number 1 contender. He's earned the title shot. Yeah, but Chad Mendes style wise is perfect. I would fight Chad Mendes tomorrow. The guy is a 5 foot nugget. Uh, he's not touching me. I could do the same thing. I could kick him in the body, and he's gonna
Yeah.
fall. Like style wise, that is not a good fight. Dennis Siva, that's a good fight for me.
Mm.
Me and Connor have a similar style. Like he is not a good fight for me, but style wise, there are some bad fights. You give him, and then you see a guy like Clay Guida. I think Connor would struggle with Clay Guida even though a lot of guys would tear him apart. It's
Yeah.
it's it's style wise. There's good matchups, but they can put who they want to build up with good matchups,
That's right.
which is
Because
it's
it's the matchmakers that are setting the table for the fighters in those cases. So like you say, giving someone who plays to your strengths rather than someone who's going to be evenly matched with you is a benefit from the matchmakers. Which is plays to your point. It's definitely, I think the marketing is becoming well, to a lot of people, it's becoming a lot more obvious. And like you say, the rankings don't have a lot of relevance to the actual skills as such, but they're more towards who's marketable and who's going to be next in line for titles. But then you have random people jumping into the title scene from time to time as well. So it's a tough one to sort of judge, and probably a tough one to manage from the UFC's point of view.
Yeah, because for such a long time they would market a champion as, oh, this is the champion. He's unstoppable.
Yeah,
That's why he's the best in the world. But 8 new champions in 1 year, they're gonna have to change their approach. Like anyone can beat anyone in this sport. There's so many ways to win and so many ways to lose. There's so many different factors involved in the sport, and that's why we all, I'll put a prediction down and I'll get 2/3 of them wrong, and people say, "Oh, you're an idiot. You don't know anything about the sport." And you know, I've dedicated my life to this sport. I've spent the last 8 years of my life studying the sport every day. I can't pick 70% of these fights right, But that's the sport. Like, that's why I watch it. That's why you watch it. That's why we all love the sport so much. It's the unpredictability of it.
A guy like next year, he's truly shown his character. He's shown he can come back from losses. He's shown he's been knocked out. He can recover from that. Those are the kind of fighters that I'll hedge my bets on and I'll support, because they're in it for the long haul. They're not a 10-0. Oh, this guy's 10-0. He's unstoppable. If you tell me you're unbeatable, then you're just lying. Everyone is beatable. I'd rather hedge my bets and follow and support a fighter, win or lose, who has proven he can come back. He's proven a passion from the sport, and he's proven that he can stay motivated. A guy like Matt Brown, he's still dangerous. Yeah, he got beaten by Alberga, but he comes back in his next fight. I'm going to watch and I'm going to enjoy with anticipation, because I know that he's a dangerous guy. He's a dangerous guy on the feet, and he's always going to push for the win. Whereas 10-0 guy, he takes one loss, he sulks about it, and he can't get over it, and he really crumbles, and it's a completely different story, So I think the marketing of the sport is going to change, and it's going to change in the very short future.
yeah. Oh well, huge. Yeah, definitely. You can't argue with anything that you've said, and I think social media is playing a huge part in the downfall in some of those champions as well. Because as soon as anything happens in the sporting world, there's a meme about it in minutes. There's like a video with big heads about it in hours, and some of that stuff would definitely play on some people's minds if they're in a bit of a vulnerable state.
Yeah, man, social media is something else. Like, I think it's great. Like, I haven't. It has its benefits. I get guys messaging me with support, but you also get guys testing your patience. They'll message you out of nowhere, but it's your ability to ignore it. It's your ability to brush it off. Someone that's never met you before will say, "You suck. You'll get knocked out. You're never gonna make it." And it's your ability to kind of water off a duck's back and brush that off. It's funny as a fighter, because you go through these stages. Like, you grow up, you haven't learned any fight skills. You start training, and people stop messing with you. You become this champion and that champion. You start fighting as a professionally before all the social media, and people respect you. They see you as a fighter, and no one says anything to you. No one says, "Oh, that Dan Hooker, he's an asshole, he's a dickhead," because they know that you're a better fighter than them.
Yeah.
Then you start getting social media, and you start putting yourself online, and that starts building up, until you get people you don't realize, and then you start getting people you've never met before saying you suck or you're a dickhead, and you're not used to this. It's been 3 or 4 years since anyone said anything to you in that manner, and now you have to start taking that kind of stuff again, because there's nothing you can do. And I think it is a real test of character to have someone insult you. You've never met before, someone insult you, and you brush that off. To me, I look at it as a test of character. If I was to react and insult them back, then that's a poor choice of character on my behalf. If I can kind of brush that off, that shows my humility, and it shows my, I'm not the best in the world. I can't yet, and you can't win every fight. It's not feasible. But for me to brush it off and not accept these kind of things and not let them affect me is a positive reflection of my character.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. Like, agree with what you said. Very wise words. Must be very hard when you've got, like you say, just people you've no idea about, never met, have no affinity to you, just coming at you in all sorts of random ways. So, absolutely, it is a test of your character, and it's a testament to the sort of person you are to just let that stuff roll off your back. Because there are definitely a lot of fighters that don't let that sort of stuff slide. So, it's great to see. Well, Dan, that's about it. Unless you got anything else you want to chat about.
Nah, just shout out Tiger Muay Thai for looking after me. All the young fighters or fighters coming up in New Zealand, man, stay at it. You are the best in the world.
Yeah.
We got the best trainers in the world. We got the best training partners in the world, and New Zealand MMA it's gonna be massive. We're gonna have the UFC back here soon, so get your pro record up, get things going. We're going to be pushing for big things in New Zealand, so get ready for them, man.
Nice. Awesome, Dan. Thank you very much for catching up. From the other boys, Lucas and Anadu, thank you for talking to us on Fight Bros.
No worries, bro. Have a good one. Catch you later.